Hey peeps, are we doing well? I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to keep this a relatively short and sweet video actually, since I've only got 9 minutes on the timer, in terms of memory at least. My own memory's probably a bit less, but anyway. Yeah, one of the things that I've sort of gone on about on the channel, and I've never really addressed it like so many other channels have done. And that is why there is such a thing as passport bros. Ever heard the expression, passport bros? What is passport bros? Well, they're bros. They're bros that have got a passport, right? Brothers. I don't mean not necessarily in the sense that they are related, siblings, not that kind of brothers. Basically, it's a bunch of dudes that maybe they're in the Western world. Now, when I say Western, I actually mean the US, or maybe they've been around this way, around the UK, Europe, that sort of thing. And you just realise that you try having a conversation with a woman, and it goes a little bit like this. Me, I, me. And you think to yourself, this person has not got the ability, right? Hasn't got the ability to take the M out of me and just flip it upside down. Just turn it into a W, just make it we. Just make it us. They just seem incapable of doing it. Like, literally the whole damn thing, everything, no matter what you talk about, has to be about them. And you're like, what? They can't, they're that shallow. They're worse, they're more shallow than a puddle. They really are. There's no depth to them at all. It's just like all surface bullshit. And the only thing that they're going to get from the surface is their reflection. And speaking of reflection, well, who was the Greek myth, as it were, that fell in love with their own reflection in the puddle? It was Narcius. It was Narcius. Hence we have the term narcissism. Right? That's where it came from. Now, Narcius was originally male. So, the story went that Narcius just loved himself so much, and, quite a few of the women in the villages that he frequented also fell for him in his ways initially, but then realised that they didn't really have a place in his life, only in a superficial way, only in a sense of having a means to an end. And so, as a result, as you can imagine, this would often result in heartbreak. And I find it a little bit ironic how by today's standards, the majority of how that has turned. I even think like maybe it wasn't. Maybe Narcius wasn't actually male to begin with. I'm thinking maybe Narcius was actually female. But maybe like the thing that we have going on today, whereas, there's the moment you imply or say something derogatory about women, then all of a sudden you're this monster. Even if you're just telling the truth, even if you're just pointing out an observation, even if you're just giving an opinion. How you get tarred with that brush of, oh, well, you just hate them because, and it's like, no. I despise what they have become, not who they are. Just the fact that there's just so many shallow women out there, and that all you ever seem to hear is, about them. And it's all about their needs and their wants, and they're not bringing anything to a relationship. So as a result, these passport bros are like, you know what? I'm going to go over to a foreign country where they do things differently, and I'm going to try and find a good woman there. Because whether you're living in the West or whether you're living in Europe or the UK, we seem to have the same problem. And so these guys are like, you know what, let's just venture out to pastures new. You know, let's see if, it's not even if the grass is greener at this point, it's like, because again, I mean, I was going to come up with something funny just then about maybe the ground being more fertile than what it is over here, but it's like, or like in the West. And I'm not talking about the physical ground, I'm talking about the ground of the dating game, and whereas there's a lot of women out there with kids that aren't in relationships, that aren't married. And look, you could argue all sorts, and I'm not going to go into it. And it goes back to my other video, it's like, if you can't be on a even playing field with someone, well then there's no point entertaining it. And when you look at the mentality and the mindset of a lot of women today, you know, what hope has a guy got? Like, seriously, what hope has a guy got? You know, not only is there a list of expectations, but it's like they just expect this royalty-like treatment, and they're not doing anything for it, just because they've turned up. And again, it comes down to this thing where they're putting all their value between their legs, and there's nothing in terms of depth to the grey matter between their ears, their brain. There's no depth to that. It's all very, even that is shallow, superficial. You know, I mean, look at the Kardashians. That's the kind of tripe that generations have been brought up on in some cases, and we're wondering why they turned out the way that they have. It's like, well, look at what's educated them. It wasn't even the parents that educated them, it was the TV show that educated them. And we're wondering why. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be in the slightest bit surprised. So when guys decide to get their passports and be like, you know what, I'm going to go to another country on holiday to see what I can find, to see if I can do better. And look, realistically speaking, you can do better. You know, with here it's all about ego. I know I keep talking about it, but it's because I've got a point. It's even not just in the sense of material possessions. It's not even that kind of ego. It's just that they can't see past themselves. I'm just saying. Look, I'm going to wrap this one up anyway. So, if you've got any thoughts, comments or opinions, feel free to jot them down. Just a few observations here and there which I wanted to share with you guys, and maybe see if I can get some of your insights and your thoughts on it. So thanks all for listening. Till the next one, stay cool, stay free, as always. Peace out.